Hello guys, welcome to Daddy Share Space and welcome to my channel. So today I just want to reiterate why I created this Daddy Share Space daily vlog portion of my channel. And the reason is so that for the viewers that come to this channel, I can kind of keep you in the loop of what I'm doing daily. Now, it's been a hogposh so far where things have been mixed up, where I've done some unboxings within this format. I've also done a little bit of fooling around in the shop in this format, and that's not really the intention. The goal is for me to get the practice of doing videos every day and to get a little bit better at my speaking. So today I came home and my mind was to go ahead and start the miter saw stations for the Milwaukee saws that I've been talking about, and I got my planer set up, I got my joiner set up, and I started doing that. And just getting to the point, you know, I think I may have made a mistake. And you see, when you do this woodworking thing, I'm kind of sweating a little bit because I just got off of doing my exercises. I haven't missed a day yet. So there's so many different pathways you can go down when you do this woodworking thing. You can either go down a pathway where you use plywood. You can use like expensive plywoods like oak veneered or walnut veneered plywood. You can make things very cheaply out of MDF or out of the particle type board, or you can go down the pathway of making things out of quality solid woods like oak, walnut, and all of those more expensive woods. Or you could be more like myself and make a lot of things out of construction grade lumber. And the reason why I say I feel like I made a mistake is because I feel like, especially as of late, I've been wrestling more with wood than actually getting things done. And obviously it's because, you know, you buy 2x4s or 2x10s from your big box store, and a lot of the times that wood is more green than you would like. And so you get it home, you get it in the shop, and next thing you know, it starts to warp up and twist and do a lot of crazy things. And so then when you go to work with this wood, especially being inexperienced, you're wrestling your project. You know, the goal is to make square projects, and if your wood is twisted up like a pretzel, then you have to come up with some kind of a solution, whether it be cutting off the twisted portion, whether it be trying to work with cutting the wood to get it more square. And today, that's what I did. I came home, I lined up the joiner and the planer, and I started off with joining some 2x4s because I was going to do my traditional thing of making a 2x4 type of frame to put these saws on and throwing some caster wheels on it just so I can move it about the shop and overall make the shop a little bit more functional. And I started off with the joiner and I plugged in my shop vac. So my shop vac is plugged into the one outlet that I have in the garage. And I was going to plug in my fans, my two Ryobi fans, just to keep it cool so that I wasn't going to do a voiceover, or I wasn't going to do live sound with the video. I was going to come back and do like a voiceover. So I had the fans going so I wouldn't be sweating as much as I am. And instead of plugging those fans into the wall, because I knew that there was a high chance if I plugged in the shop vac and plugged in the fans that somehow there may be a surge and you know, it may trip the breaker. So instead of using the Ryobi fans on the outlet, I chose to put batteries in the back of the Ryobi fans because they can either be plugged in or they could use battery power. And so I'm jointing my boards, going through the process. I have several 2x4s lined up to go through this process. And then I start looking down on the ground and I start to see all of this sawdust collecting down at my feet, even though the hose is connected and everything. And I had my Festool earbuds in, so I couldn't hear, you know, because of the noise dampening. I was unable to hear the shop vac. And so finally I pull off the shop vac hose and I'm like, oh, there's no air. So I was like, oh, I must have forgot to turn it on. So I go over and I hit the switch, and lo and behold, it tripped the breaker. And so at this point I'm a bit exacerbated because I'm like, you know, when I come home I have very limited time to get things done. And I'm a momentum guy. Once I start rolling, I can really get to it. But because I have this narrow window, probably about 2 hours when I get off of work, to get anything constructive and productive done, once things start going in a bad direction, I have to make an executive decision on whether I'm going to either push through and or if I'm just going to wrap it up for the day. Now, pushing through is not a problem. However, I have created this responsibility of doing Daddy Share Space daily, and which is separate from my woodworking. And it's, if I'm not going to be able to finish the project anyway, do I want to kill my episode of Daddy Share Space daily and get off of my little track that I have put myself on because I started down one pathway and that didn't work out. So before I wrapped everything up, I just decided, forget it. I went outside, I flipped the breaker. Instead of running the shop back, I just decided to move over to the planer and just started planing boards. And I didn't even bother to hook up any kind of dust collection, so now there's sawdust all over the floor to represent that. And as I was doing that, in the back of my mind, I'm like, well, when I go to record the other portions of the video, like me assembling things or doing other things, then there's going to be this mess of sawdust everywhere. And I just got through kind of vacuuming up the shop, and I think it was probably about, close to 6 when I recognized that, maybe about 5:30, 5:40, and I just said, you know what, I'm not gonna get this project done. There's no way. So I turned off the camera, went into the gym, or changed my clothes, went in the gym, did my exercises, and now I'm back here now recording this video. And while I was in there doing my exercises, I was thinking about, okay, what am I gonna do for a video today? I have a ton of footage on my computer that I can kind of piece together videos, but that still requires me to go through and sort through all of the footage. And being that I started off wanting to do one particular project and was unable to, basically it was just making a big mess, and I'm thinking plays down the road, and it just didn't look like it was going to be a project that I was going to be able to get very far on. So in one hand, I want to get my episode of Daddy Share Space Daily done. In the other hand, I want to progress in getting my shop functional the way that I want it to be functional, which is one of those things is making the tools that I have in the shop that are bigger, putting them on wheels so I can roll them around and get them out of the way, instead of always having to lift a tool and move it from one location to the other. And the other thing that I wanted to do, obviously, was to get all the tools, the stray tools that don't have French cleat holders, get those up on the wall. And it's kind of a coin flip. Several weeks ago, I came in and I was like, I basically adjusted the French cleat holder to hold my flexible 7 1/4 inch saw, because the way I made it originally, it didn't have any side supports. So I made that even into a small little video. But when I did that, I was recording even more than that, and I had started making a video I had started making a French cleat holder for my DeWalt drywall, or my DeWalt sanders, not the drywall sander, but my regular sheet sander and my random orbital sander. And in the process of building, I was making like a divider and doing all these different things, and then as I'm making it, I was like, you know what, I probably should make it where I can store sandpaper on it. And I pulled out my domino and I was trying to figure out how to do the positioning and all of that. And as I was doing that project, obviously it was getting later in the day, and also I realized I had ran into some creative idea blockage where I was starting the process in one direction, and then that's when, like, not having a full experience with your tools, you may want to go to do something, and because you didn't do a lot of research or get a lot of practice doing that thing, it ends up being a little bit more challenging than it has to be. So I guess the best way I could put it is, like, you have this imagination of what you can do, you can see it in your mind, but yet you can't see every single step to get to the end result. And when you're a person like myself, where you just kind of pick up and just try to do, sometimes you end up running into a ravine because you didn't have it all planned out. And because you didn't have it all planned out, you don't get the end results that you're looking for. So that's a similar thing as to when I was messing with the Veritas dowel maker. And I was just thinking, okay, I set it to 1 inch dowel, I'll run these through, and then I could just start making these simple French cleat holders, I had one right here, like a little prototype of what I was gonna try to do, and it didn't work out like I wanted it to. And the reason why is, as you see, I have the dowels here on the piece of wood, and the spade bit that I had was a 1-inch spade bit. This dowel is supposed to be 1 inch in diameter, but it ended up being less than 1 inch. And so when I drilled the hole for the spade bit, obviously it made a hole all the way through on the back side, but the circumference of the hole was too big, so that the dowel moved around inside of the hole. And so one of these, if you could see it, you can't really see it here, but it's kind of cockeyed. And so I didn't get the results that I was looking for. So that just let me know, okay, I got to go back and tinker around with that Veritas dowel maker to get the spade bit and the dowel to match, so that there's a nice tight fit, so that when I slide the dowel in there, it's going to be straight and how I want it to be. Some of them they'll be straight, but then some of them I'll put the board like kind of on a maybe a certain degree angle, so that the dowel won't sit flush like this, but it may sit at an angle for certain types of tools. And then, as you can see here, you've got this opening here on the tool, and then you've got this ledge, and then it makes making a tool holder fairly easy. So even though this theoretically could work, I need to get better at doing the dowels and matching the dowels up with the spade bit that I have, or even if I decided to use a Forstner bit to make the holes. Just looking at, let me just show you an example of how I was making the French cleat holders. So before, I was just doing them like this, where I just use squares and rectangles and screw them in on the back, and just, you know, something just to get the tool up off the wall. And after making several French cleat holders like this, especially with the accumulation of the types of tools that I have, I'm like, you know what, I think I can do this a little bit better. However, I have to, you know, it's just going to require practice. Everything is doing it over and over and over again. And at least that's the way I learn. I have to do a lot of something, and then I just start to notice the small little patterns of how to get to the end goal that I'm looking to get to. So, anyways, I guess this is a long way of saying that things didn't work out as I had planned. And so I just decided to come out here and do this episode of Daddy Share Space Daily, just to kind of keep you in the loop of what I'm thinking. So I don't want to switch to higher end woods in the shop. I don't feel like I'm ready for that. And also, if I can find success with 2x lumber, that would be my preference, only because I'm not trying to create a shop where I'm trying to make things for other people. If that was the goal, then it would make sense to buy, you know, nice oak, nice walnut, and cherry. But since my goal is just to make, you know, things for whether it be around my house or around the shop, and I'm more focused on trying to learn the skill of working with wood, and not necessarily trying to make a particular type of quality of furniture. I think that I didn't recognize how much of a deterrent it would be to work with the lower quality wood, because of, you know, it not being dried appropriately, and, you know, dealing with whether it be knots, whether it be twists and bows. So I have some thinking to do as far as that, because obviously I have a lot of tools in my shop. At one point in time, I was telling myself I need to get a bandsaw with the tall fence, so that I can do make my own veneers, or, you know, cut taller boards in half, so that I could utilize more material, as opposed to having to basically like joint or plane a board down to some, you know, narrow portion. That was something that I was considering doing, but it's been a challenge to figure out how to make my own S4S stock, if you will. Because if you buy a board that's already S4S, then all you need to do is assemble the boards and make your project. That's very similar to plywood. If you cut everything, if I'm into more modern furniture, so if I make everything with 90-degree cuts, then it's simply assembling it, whether it be through dados, rabbits, or if you want to use dominoes or dowels. And it's a simple process of putting things together. If you're going to buy wood like 2x4s that have the rounded edges and you want to get better and not just like some of the shop furniture I have here have the rounded edges and just leave it rough and looking industrial, then that means you want to run it through the planer, you want to run it over the joiner, not necessarily in that order, and then do the table saw method to, you know, square up your board on the other side towards the end. And just for some reason, I've done the process multiple times, but somewhere throughout the process, I'm getting something wrong. So I need to do further investigation to figure out what it is that I'm doing wrong and why, despite putting the effort and the energy in, I need to identify whether it be the technique or the tool that's not helping me to get that S4S board, because that's the goal, to turn a 2x4 or 2x10 or 2x12 into an S4S board so that I can build something with it. And I don't know what most skilled woodworkers do. I don't know if they just throw boards away that have twists and bows in them. I have seen some videos online where people do different things, whether they make jigs to cut out twists and bows or whether they cut out sections of the board. And you know, I'm just trying to figure that out, because despite having good quality tools, that pathway of deciding, okay, I don't want to go out and buy a big sheet of plywood and possibly mess it up. I'd rather go buy some 2x lumber, and I can mess that up all day long forever and not feel like I'm just throwing money away. Yet, if it's proven to be more of a challenge to get the consistent results that I want. I mean, it's easy to build something. It's easy to just cut a board to a specific length. Like, I could have took these 2x4s that I have here and just cut them all to the proper height, like cut, you know, 4 pieces to make a rectangle, pull out the pocket hole jig, put them together, or use the either the domino or the Maffael to put them all together, glue them up if I wanted to, make 2 layers of the 4 boards, and then lay a piece of plywood over both, and then attach caster wheels to the bottom of one of them, stack them on the floor, put the saw on top of that little platform, and then take a piece of wood and roll that platform up next to my MFT, and then mark it so where when I put those, you know, the 4 legs of the cabinet together, they will be the exact height of my MFT, and just put it together. That's something that's easy to do. However, I'm trying to incorporate more skills by jointing and planing the boards so that the product looks better in the end. And because it takes a lot of practice, you know, I'm going to have days like this where I come out here and I start doing something and it doesn't turn out as I would hope. And therein lies why I do the Daddy Share Space daily now, because YouTube is over here, woodworking is over here. Do I not do the YouTube video because I was unsuccessful in the project? I don't think that that's absolutely necessary, because there's plenty of things to talk about. We can talk about tools, we can talk about the workflow and process, and when I share my ideas here on this platform, I've had plenty of people, like yesterday I got a great comment. I get plenty of people that are giving me feedback to help me look at things differently, to make better decisions. You know, I got a really long comment yesterday that was super helpful, and then I had another comment from another person when I was from the video that I did yesterday where I was cutting the fence, and for whatever reason I was cutting it with the painted side up, and the guy just simply said you should have turned it over the other way so it would have laid flat and just cut into the foam board. Why I didn't pick that up while I was doing it, I can't tell you, but the reality of the matter is, you know, I'm learning a lot just from, you know, putting some of my mistakes and my challenges up here on my channel, and then I'm getting feedback back that's going to help me in the future. So anyways, guys, I think that's going to wrap it up for here. I don't have any anything too extravagant to talk about. the goal still is right now, I think I need to make these stands for the Milwaukee miter saw stands. However, this weekend I've already ordered the parts for the 1991 saw, so I imagine part of the weekend is going to be taken with me trying to get that car back on the road and running. So yeah, that's why this is Daddy Share Space. And I don't dare call it Daddy Share Space Woodworking, because if you can't keep up with doing woodworking videos every day because you have other things to do, well then it's kind of, I think it's kind of, you're not really naming your channel based upon what it is. I'm just a guy in his garage, a guy just like you out there, and I'm just sharing the things that I'm doing. Anyways, guys, I want to thank you for taking the time to watch the video, and tomorrow I will come home, and I think due to what happened with the jointer and the planer, I think I need a lot more practice with those. However, I have to weigh out whether I want to get things done or whether I want to make them great. And I don't think at this point in time the two go together right now, unless I'm going to go to the store and buy S4S wood. This whole process of jointing your own lumber is a lot more challenging than I expected, and sometimes I get bogged down by all the different ways that you could do it.